Here we go, the final stages of the season, beginning here with a double-header in Europe, and what a fantastic place to be. The Almeida Racing League Season 6 has proved to be one of the most competitive seasons yet, and we've gotten fantastic racing at every single round thus far. Who's going to come out on top this week? We'll just have to wait and see. We're at Imola for round 10 of the season, with round 11 taking place next week, the championship finale. So this is where things are going to really hike up in intensity, I would say, at one of the finest racetracks in the world. Bringing it to you live on Pit Road Productions and Swelio Almeida's channel, simul streaming here, whichever platform you're from. We thank you for your patronage and hope you enjoy the show. My name is Reese Gardner, Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the commentary box. Zippy, it's an iconic track, Imola.
Oh, yes.
Grand Prix circuit with lots of heavy braking zones, plenty of chicanes, and some of the harshest curbs on iRacing for these drivers to deal with.
Absolutely, and it's actually on my Princess approved track list as well. I love this venue, and certainly I love the Spec Racer Ford as well, so I've got a feeling we're going to be in for a treat. Certainly there's definitely passing opportunities, but I think the drivers are really going to have to think about that start-finish straight. It's so long, there's so many drafting opportunities. I do have to wonder, are we going to see 3, maybe 4 wide heading into turn 1?
That is the question. I think it's certainly within the realms of possibility, considering how slipstream heavy the start-finish straight is at this circuit. One of many fantastic places we've been to this season. We've only got one round to go after this. Let's check out the schedule as we bring things down here in qualifying. Watkins Glen and Barber. First 2 rounds, the first endurance round of the season at Phoenix for round 3, Montreal, Aragon and Oschersleben rounding out the first half of the season. Then we moved across to Spain. The Circuit de Catalunya played host to the second endurance round of the season before we went back to the regular format at Chicago. Alton Park was last week, and we got some of the best battling we've seen all season at that track. It just hypes me up even more for this round at Imola, with Lebanon playing host to the final round of the championship next week. The format for today is your normal format. 15 minutes of open qualifying that the drivers are currently taking part in. We got 2 15-minute heats to start off the night, the second of which has a randomized invert. This particular round, it is 8 once again, and then a feature of 20 minutes in length with the grid set by the results of Heat 2. No fast repair and a fixed setup. It's all down to the drivers and what they can manage in these Spec Racer Ford. Zippy, how's the championship looking?
That is indeed a very good point, Reese. Let's take a look at the Academy overall so far. You can see there, Charles Krasik, he's been doing really well this season, and again has managed to hold on to that. He's leading by about 10 points. That is incredibly close, ladies and gentlemen, as we make our way through to the penultimate round. Brian Sabowski, he's there in second, with Adrian Torino there in third. Ian Joyner, that's last season's champion, ladies and gentlemen. He's there in fourth. He has missed a few rounds, with Benjamin Pritchard rounding out your top 5. That's how it looks for the Academy overall. Let's take a little bit more of a look here at Split 1, starting with the Premier class.
Yes, indeed. In Premier, it's still Ian Joyner on top. He's managed to grab a couple of wins at Alton Park last week, despite being on the back foot in the first race. Rupesh Paneni and Cairo Enns, with some fantastic drives last week, have elevated themselves to second and third in those Split 1 overall standings, with Mason Kuhn starting to fall back a little bit in P4, but Mason is currently third in qualifying, so we'll see how this round goes for him. In the club class, isolated by itself, Cairo Enns on top of that one, as he has been for the majority of the season. Tyler Harker and Felipe Puls, though, not too far behind. Harker, at least, about 94 points, I would say, behind him at the moment, with Vansavicius and Valkyasuo rounding out the top 5 in the club class. Kemil Kasim in 6th place, and considering the pace that he had in practice here at Imola, I think he's going to have half a chance of elevating himself up a little bit further.
Yeah, definitely some potent drivers here today at Imola, and indeed we got a bit of a larger grid back as well. But let's have a quick of a shout out here we have a new driver who I'm sure I've seen him here on ARA before, but I've not seen him so far this season. The reason I know that is because I had to add him to the driver override. So, ladies and gentlemen, Timo Nolte is going to be making a join here. I got to say, it's a bit late. It's fair to say his championship standing points are non-existent yet, ladies and gentlemen. He's yet to do a round, but certainly good to see him here in the closing stages.
Yeah, agreed. Currently hasn't set a time in qualifying, but that's true for everyone. Apart from 8 drivers that have currently set times around here. Just over 9 minutes to go in the session. And we're getting some nice tours around Imola here from the Spec Racer Fords. You really get a sense, as they went through Variante Alta there, just how high the curbs are in that part of the circuit. This is, of course, an older scan of this racetrack. The curbs are different now in the real world, but Barrett Brummett is going to show us that despite the relative age of the scan, you still have to drive the circuit you're given, and the lap will begin now. A very long start-finish stretch here at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari. The start-finish line is right there, and this is where the green flag will be taken on the run into Tamburello, technically just going through turn 1 there and then braking for turn 2 about 100 meters from the corner. Very harsh curbs in this section. You see those speed bumps behind the curbs. They will absolutely destroy your car if you hit them the wrong way. Nice run through the opening chicane there for the current fastest driver in qualifying, down to the Villeneuve chicane here, braking at the 50 marker, sweeping through the left and then bringing it back round for the right, trying your best to use as much of the runoff area as you can. Into Tosa, the biggest hairpin on the lap. He's getting chased very closely by Cairo Enz around this lap, but now this is where the track really gets flowing, following the elevation changes, blending right for the entry to Piratella, a fast left-hander with a curb on the exit that has that dark green AstroTurf beyond it. A good code that I have for this track is if the area behind the curb is dark green, it's slippery. If it's light green, it's concrete. You can use it for grip. Plenty of slipperiness there through the exit of Acqua Minerale as you go uphill again to come up to Variante Alta, which has the biggest curbs on this racetrack, but you can ride them a lot better than a lot of the other curbs around here. You can practically put the entire car across them, and if you manage to get your turn in right and carry speed through the apexes, you'll be rewarded with a nice run back down the hill to Rivazza, the final real complex of the lap. A double left-hander. Super hard braking downhill into two 90-degree lefts here. Got to be careful not to run too far beyond the curb in this section, because it will trigger the dreaded off-track 1X. That is a lap of Imola. And in the Spec Racer Ford, it takes just under 2 minutes if you're at the front of the field. Cairo Enz picking up the slipstream on Barrett Brummett at the end of this lap. And we'll see what he can do. He'll go.
There you go. I had a feeling that was going to happen. Certainly, having a slipstream is absolutely crucial here in the Spec Racer Fords, and indeed, it's definitely what Cairo was doing. There was no accident about that, but here's where camaraderie comes into play. Ladies and gentlemen, Barrett Brummett will now be behind the driver of the 117 Cairo Enz and indeed be able to pick up a tow. But saying that, Ian Joyner has yet again put himself at the front row, and he's actually getting a little bit of slipstream himself as well, this time from Kevin Adrian.
Yeah, double slipstream that he's got going at the moment here, with it appears Adrian Hopp at the head of this slipstream train. We have a few drivers getting big improvements in there. Kevin Lau and Philip Falcon both made big improvements. Tyler Harker, who was right up there in practice, only going 14th on his initial lap, but I'm sure if he picks up some slipstream, he'll be able to bring that time down. The slipstream is worth at least half a second. We saw a lot of drivers up the top in practice that we don't usually expect that far up the timesheets.
Yeah, certainly. I do find when you get a drafty track, it can make a big difference there, and you can certainly see a few people who are out of sorts. Myself, I can have pace at one venue, but then if in qualifying, I can't get a good clean lap behind somebody. You know, I need somebody who's just a little bit faster than me, but not so fast they're going to leave me for dust. And certainly, it can be hard to find that. And certainly, it does mess with the standings a little bit. Certainly, there, as you see Kevin Adrian there, getting a beautiful little beautiful move there through that chicane. And indeed, we're going to see if he can move himself up from P10 overall. Cairo Enz, however, the only club class driver in the top 10 right now. The next nearest competition is Tyler Harker. He's back in 14th.
Yeah, and you know what? If those standings stay as they are towards the end of the session, then Cairo Enz is going to get a big free kick to extend his championship lead in the club class. So that will certainly be something to keep an eye on. How does this train go here, coming across the line once again? Saw tiny bit of scrappiness from Kevin Adrian down at the Aqua Minerale section, but he makes a big improvement to move up to P5. Mason Kuhn, who's just behind these guys, moving up to P3, and Zoltan Zomator up to P4. He's immediately overtaken by Michael Hooper, who just put his best lap time of the session in. But a very nice looking top 5 there. I think that's the highest we've seen Zoltan Zomator all season.
Yeah, I'm actually really proud of the guy, and certainly Michael Hooper, it looks like he did that without a draft as well. I do have to wonder what he can do if he can get a little bit of help, but one thing I do have to wonder, Kemal Kasim now, he's second place in the club class. He's got a draft ahead of him. He needs to find a way forward through this grid, because if not, Cairo Enz, mate, I don't know if he can do it by numbers, but certainly he's putting a hand on that top place of club class trophy, and I do wonder if anybody's going to be able to catch him. He may be able to tie this up.
Yeah, might be able to get it done with a round to go. We'll have to wait and see on that. For what it's worth, Kasim's fastest lap in practice was a 158.5, which was good enough for third place in the practice timesheets. Tyler Harker ran the fastest time in practice, a 1 minute 57.9. At the moment, Ian Joyner's pace is about a second slower than that, but he's still at the front of the field. There is a lot of potential for lap time in this session.
Oh yeah, certainly you can see this big draft pack starting to emerge. Look at the line there from Joyner. He knows he's got the run. Adrian, he's pretty much going to abort this lap at this point. He knows it's not going to be a winner. Indeed, he's going to pull off to the side. And you watch Adrian hop and indeed Ian Joyner go out there ahead. I think that's Kemal Kasim right behind him. It is indeed. So this could be a good opportunity here for the driver of the 139. To be honest, everybody in this field is more than capable of moving a spec racer forward around at an incredible pace. Certainly myself, a little bit of a spec racer forward specialist, you could say. It's definitely my strongest car. And I don't think I'd be able to compete with these guys. They are that fast. And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to go faster, you need to sign up to the Almeida Academy. Indeed, that is, these guys are students of that. And I tell you what, before we get to the end of qualifying, let's take a quick break here and have a message from Swellio.
He's here teaching all his secrets to all these drivers. This is Almeida Racing Academy,
where every champion has a starting line.
The sim racer turned real world superstar, Swellio Almeida.
It's Connor Bell racing in his own backyard for the very first time in the NASCAR Canada Series.
The workshops helped out so much. Something about battling with somebody faster than you, it just pushes you that little bit further, and I was able to just keep developing my skill.
I can kind of commit more with the exit there. That was good. If you do take sim racing seriously, it does impact your racing technique for the rest of your life.
I know how the car is going to perform around these corners because the model I have in the sim. Just the benefit of sim racing when you go into real life, I don't think people quite realize it yet.
You have infinite track time is the biggest factor. You are able to try so many things, and the physics that are simulated in the sim nowadays, especially iRacing, are so close to real life.
Creating champions.
Swellio Almeida is a master at his craft. He's outclassed a Le Mans driver, a European Le Mans Series racer.
These guys are among the top 0.02% in the world.
Designed to create champions.
First NASCAR Canada start. First NASCAR victory for Connor Bell.
Connor Bell standing on the podium here today.
This is the Almeida Racing Academy 3.0.
Wait a race, buddy, wait a race.
A huge thanks to Swellio Almeida and the whole crew at the Almeida Racing Academy, not just for bringing us on here at Pit Road Productions to broadcast this fantastic league, but providing one of the best coaching services on the planet. Just $25 a month gives you full access to the extensive library of tips, tricks, and techniques, lessons, and tutorials from Swellio Almeida, Kane Halliburton, and others to provide you with what you need to get faster and be better at driving, both in the sim and real worlds. Just a few seconds left in qualifying, and looks like that will be the end of it as Tyler Harker makes a very late improvement to second, with bare seconds remaining.
That was close.
On the timer.
That was
incredibly close indeed.
Yeah, he literally got that by the skin of his teeth like that. I gotta say, Tyler Harker, I will give you the closest qualifying snatch we've seen. I think that's gotta be the closest we've probably ever seen on pit road. Like, it was too close. Like, literally the session's ticking down.
Yeah, that's it.
Whoa.
Well, speaking of sessions, we're in the race session now, and Ian Joyner will be starting on pole for this one, with Tyler Harker just nabbing the club class pole from Cairo Enns with a few seconds remaining. He will start second with Enns and Bas van der Lee on the second row of the grid. Mason Kuhn starts in P5 with Brian Lenz alongside in 6th. Excellent performance from Lenz there. Kevin Adrian and Michael Hooper will be 7th and 8th. Then it's Adrian Hopp and Zoltan Zumator rounding out the top 10. 3 Germans in a row.
I was going to say, they're really making some dominance there, with Jeffrey Westland going in P11, Barrett Blomet alongside in 12. Having a little bit further back though, Kevin Lau is going to be there in 13th with Tulka Vakaseo. Good to see you back, sir. He's there in 14th. Kemal Kasim, incredibly quick in practice, but only able to get 15th in qualifying. Philip Falcon alongside in 16th. Jeffrey Atkins there, one of the community members. He's there in 17th with Rich Meesters from Cool Camel Racing in 18th. Steve Saunders, the gentleman of the group. He's there in 19th with Philip Masson, rounding out your top 20.
James Conrad and Timo Nolte will start 21st and 22nd. Then it's Carlton Howard and Domenico Sayu in the 12th row. Jeremy Childers did not set a time in qualifying. Neither did our resident coach, the community manager for the Almeida Racing Academy, Connor Bell, who also happens to be a real-world racing driver who you would have seen in the ad we played just a few minutes ago, winning on debut in his first race in NASCAR Canada in the real world. Some fantastic journey that Bell went on, and we'll see what kind of journey he goes on here, starting at the very back of the grid. For this round of the Almeida Racing League, traditionally the coaches start at the very rear of the grid and fight their way up through the order. Will certainly provide us some solid entertainment, but at the very opposite end of the field, it's Joyner who's going to lead us away behind the iRacing pace car.
Yeah, certainly. I'm definitely looking forward to meeting a lot of these drivers as well. Certainly, a few of them are going to have to make one bit of a trip there, because I know myself, Connor Bell, and indeed a couple of the Academy members are planning on being out at Motorsport for Victoria Day Speedfest, so certainly in the middle of May, ladies and gentlemen. I plan on being there, and I would love to meet as many of you as possible. I may even be able to try and get a little bit of commentary work going while I'm over there as well. Certainly, I've got plans and I've got some ambitions, but indeed, anybody who is going to that, by all means, send me a PM on Discord. Let me know, because I have got no concept of how to plan something like this, and indeed, if you're going, I want to make sure I find time to see you. So, but certainly, if you got that in mind, heading over to Motorsport Victoria Day weekend, let us know here on Pit Road Productions.
Absolutely. If only I could make it over there. Unfortunately, I am on the literal other side of the planet with not much of a budget to work with for airfares at the moment, but one day I will get over there and see you all. Well, it's time for the green flag as they make their way through the final corners here, waiting for the pace car to enter the pits. Joyner weaving as much as he can on the way up to the green flag. Pace car is in the lane, and now Joyner can go practically any time he likes, but he's going to make them wait here at the front of the field. Green flag should fly momentarily, and away they go. Race 1 of round 10 of season 6 is go, and Cairo Enns, following Joyner very nicely, has already worked his way past Tyler Harker back into second place, and Harker is in a bit of trouble on the inside here. Mason Kuhn trying his best to slot himself in, isn't able to make the move on Harker, but does keep Bas van der Lee behind him. It looks like a relatively clean start for everybody, but I see that Connor Bell has already towed back to the pits. I think something happened to our resident coach.
Yeah, that's definitely not the race start he's looking for. He sees there, goes up on the inside, and Evan's looking good. I've got to wonder what happened to him. Oh, that looks like a hardware failure.
Potentially. That's not ideal for Bell. He won't take any further part in this race, but looks like the race is on. further up the field as well. Looks like some side-by-side between Tyler Harker and Mason Kuhn. And Mason will have the inside for Piratella. If you can get alongside on the way in, it's quite easy to make the move. It's difficult to hold the outside line at that particular corner. But down into Acqua Minerale, where the sort of tail-happy nature of the Spec Racer Ford is on full display. They try their best to rotate it into these corners without getting too much sideways. Bas van der Lee on the cameras for the very first time, I believe, and he's certainly having a good run of things right now, keeping himself in the top 5.
Yeah, he's looking quite cool, calm, and collected, considering who's behind him. Fair play to him, because right behind him, ladies and gentlemen, another gentleman of the group, it's Kevin Adrian. Certainly, definitely quite reserved. Definitely, he will plan his moves a bit. Certainly, he's not one of the heat-at-the-moment racers that we've seen. Actually, speaking of which, Rupesh Fernani, certainly we had a fantastic race between himself, Cairo, and Ian Joyner last week. Rupesh, where are you?
Yeah, he was quite excited to race at
Yes.
Imola when we talked to him last week. Yeah, apparently he hasn't been able to make it. That's a real shame, but I'm sure we'll see some fantastic racing anyway as Adrian picks up the slipstream on Bas van der Lee and draws alongside into Tamburello. Move made for P5. That was a very nice overtake indeed. It brings Kevin Adrian one car closer to Mason Kuhn, who, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago at Chicago, they had quite the coming together. Some dust being thrown up through Tamburello as we see drivers exchanging spots here. The 157 of Jeffrey Adkins having to give that up to James Conrad, at least in the short term. The fight for 18th place, and they're going to keep it going into Villeneuve.
Yeah, this is actually one of the busiest fights we got going. 4 or 5 cars all fighting for the same. Oh my god, this is going to get ugly. I can see it coming. And I can remember the last time Swellio said that, I planted it. So fair play to him. I hope I got the same kind of talent. At least it's when it comes to calling a potential accident. But right now, you can see here, Jeffrey Adkins trying to pull away from this pack of cars behind him. It's James Conrad and the newly joined here, Timo Nolte.
Yeah, Nolte up the inside at Piratella, manages to get it done on the exit, but is there going to be any response from Conrad into Acqua Minerale? Has the inside and room is left, but it gets really narrow and tight there. Round they go, and the room quickly ran out there. Timo Nolte having to get off to a recovery there. Looks like Domenico Sayu getting involved in that too, an innocent victim. So unfortunately for him, it's going to be another race where he'll be trundling around with a damaged car. Meanwhile, there has been a lead change. Ian Joyner has given up the lead to Mason Kuhn and Cairo Enns as Brummett tries to stay in the top 10 here. Nice move past Kevin Lau, and looks like Rich Meesters is going to try his best to take advantage of all of this. Lau is going to try and pull out again in the slipstream. At the moment, Enns, Kuhn and Joyner are battling super hard for the lead of the race. In fact, they are 3 wide for the lead presently as Kevin Lau bump drafts Barrett Brummett across the line. Rich Meesters, though, sees that opportunity to move past, and there goes Ian Joyner back into the lead of the race. Tyler Harker gets up the inside of Cairo Enns, just enough room.
Yeah, Kevin Adrian now starting to put a nose in as well. Certainly he is not a popular man with the cars ahead, the number 79. These guys did not get on very well. I think it was Chicago where indeed the Teddies were out the pram. Certainly the Kuhn residents not a big fan. But certainly we're going to have to see how it works out so far. As you can see, this is an absolute accordion of cars. Let me see here. Top 8 all vying for P1, ladies and gentlemen. That is incredible racing.
Yeah, fantastic fighting between these guys as, oh dear, looks like we're going to be seeing another move here from Mason Kuhn. He's trying to get back past Tyler Harker, and at Piratella, the move will be made. That's going to allow Ian Joyner and Cairo Enns to jet away from the rest of our top 8 here. Proper top 2 breakaway right now. I think everyone behind him will have to start working together.
Yeah, speaking of Enns, we don't have Jake Enns here today. He's currently clearing Stoner Community, but we do have Catherine Enns. Well, sorry, my apologies, Katharina Enns. So certainly the Enns family continuing their incredibly loyal support here at Pit Road Productions. Indeed, 9/10 of a second is what holds Cairo Enns in front of Mason Kuhn. As you see, slowdown there being served by Philip Masson in the background. Meanwhile, though, this lead pack is starting to get away. They've got it up to a second. Enns is going to want to do everything he can to try and push Joyner away from this onslaught of cars behind him, going from 3rd place down to 8th.
Yeah, if these guys keep battling as hard as they are, that'll give every advantage to Joyner and Enns to just keep breaking away. But now that Mason Kuhn has a clear track ahead of him, have to wait and see what he can do. Harker with some big understeer on the way out of Rivarza. And we saw that happening with Kemal Kasim in qualifying as well. It seems very easy to scrub the fronts there as they'll make their way down the start-finish stretch to begin the 4th lap of this race. Well, we'll have to see what kind of moves are made in the back of the pack here. Bas van der Lee at the moment hasn't had much side-by-side to deal with, but have a look at the run there behind him from Adrian Hopp and Brian Lenz. He'll be hoping to stay in the slipstream of Kevin Adrian and try his best to make a move further up. Meanwhile, there's Harker and Kuhn side-by-side again into Villeneuve, and Harker sweeping around the outside of Mason on the way into the right-hand apex. That was beautiful.
Yeah, certainly these guys are indeed duking it out. I think Kevin Adrian's, I think he's predicting chaos, and certainly I'm inclined to agree with him at this point. Bas van der Lee, I think, taking it a little bit easier as well. Mason Kuhn is, without a doubt, he's on a mission today, as is Tyler Harker. He realistically, he needs to finish ahead of Enns. Enns could potentially tie up the championship tonight, and he's going to be aware of that, and he's very much just got to keep it clean, keep it on the track, and indeed stay away from the rest of this field.
Yeah, should be a reasonable chance of him doing that with the slipstream of Joyner. Meanwhile, this is the battle for 9th. Tuka Valkyasuo has got Barrett Brummett for company. Rich Meesters ended up following him through on Kevin Lau, and Zoltan Zomotor, who set the timing screens alight a couple of times in qualifying, sees a chance for a move at Variante Alta. It is brave indeed. It doesn't work out for him, but good on Zoltan for trying.
Yeah, certainly. You can see there for a second, as soon as he pulled out of the slipstream, Kevin Lau still had the draft helping him out, and you could see the car slow down. It realistically was a case of, am I close enough just to keep the nose in to even warrant a move? And he was, but definitely it wasn't the fastest line. I think it was more of a mind punch strategy, and indeed it did unsettle the driver ahead, but not enough he could gain that position. But meanwhile, the gap here between 2nd and 3rd, it's coming down. It's down to about 7/10 of a second. Indeed, Mason could be about 4/10 back. He's still very much in the mix, but certainly, you know, they got to focus here on P1. Like, they're so busy arguing amongst themselves that they're losing sight of the main shot that is the win.
Well, having said that, Tyler Harker made up 6/10 on Cairo Enns and 5/10 on Joyner on the previous lap. So it looks like there is a lot of pace in that 3rd place pack. Meanwhile, well, focusing ahead a little bit here, Cairo Enns is trying his best here to avoid getting too much damage on his front end.
Yeah.
It would appear that he bump drafted Joyner down the front straight. I think that's where he picked up those scrapes.
Yeah, certainly the Spec Racer Ford, it's not the strongest of vehicles. Indeed, it's just a fiberglass shell over the top of I believe they call it a monocoque chassis. I sound so much more sophisticated than I actually am at that point. And if you can believe that I'm sophisticated, ladies and gentlemen, by all means, I believe we have psychiatrists that are covered here in Canada. Don't quote me on that, though. But right now, you can see here on the laps, as Reese was saying, 100% Harker is catching up.
Yeah, and Kevin Adrian, though, has the official fastest lap of the race. Harker did run a faster lap, but he got an off-track on the way. So, according to iRacing's system, it doesn't officially count as the fastest lap yet for Harker. But we'll see what he can do to pull off something more here. Kevin Adrian, then, has been pretty consistently in P5 or thereabouts for the majority of the race so far. We're almost 2/3 done with race number 1. Only 15 minutes as slowdowns for both Kemal Kasim and Steve Saunders further towards the back. Something has gone wrong for them. Meanwhile, Lau and Meesters trading places for 11th spot. And it looks like this battle is far from over. Meesters needs to be careful not to get too much understeer through that final apex, because you see what it's done for him. He loses out initially on the run out of the corner as the lap times come across for our leaders, Enns and Harker. Now back past Joyner for the lead, and they are too wide. Club 1 and 2 here as, Cairo, a bit too much curb at Tamburello. Manages to hold on to it, but this is going to make things interesting. Mason Kuhn sweeping around the outside to take 2nd place. Kevin Adrian will try and follow him.
Yeah, I thought that was going to end in chaos there. Thankfully, Ian Joyner backed out of that. I think if he hadn't, we'd have had a 3-4 car pile up there. But fair play. Mason Kuhn just absolutely sees the opportunity, goes for it. Indeed, what a chain of events there. Tyler Harker, though, he is absolutely determined to get himself ahead, not just to Cairo Owens, but to the front of this pack. And indeed, the battles continue. You see there at the back of that, 26 Brian Lenz just about managing to stay with them. He's 1.2 seconds behind. He needs to find his way into this pack, currently being tailed here by Adrian Hobb.
Oh, and there goes the defense for Mason Kuhn. Cairo Owens will have to slot back in. Harker has been rapid in the second half of this season. He's put on some fantastic drives. I believe took the win in one of the races at Chicago a couple of weeks ago. He's really getting the hurry up from Kevin Adrian, though.
Yeah, Kevin Adrian has decided we are going to be bump drafted. That's ambitious. I don't know if I'd have done that, but fair play to him. He's made it work. Mason Kuhn there. Oh, that was tight. I don't know if I'd pass going through that chicane, but fair play if you want to try it.
I mean, I think he thought Cairo Owens was going to try, and that's why he was going defensive. He's defensive again into Ravazza. Evidently, Mason's really aware of the pursuing pack behind. My timing is telling me it's going to be 2 laps to go when they come across the line next. Cairo Owens has yet to take an overall win in the Almeida Racing League. This could be his chance. He got so close at Alton Park last week. Maybe this is what he'll be able to do to actually take that. But Harker is right there. Another spanner in the works. Oh, contact for the lead on the way into turn 2. Easy does it, guys. Give each other room. Ends monstering the curb there and manages to have the inside for turn 3. Harker has no choice but to yield.
This is getting too tight. I've never seen Cairo looking so tense
Mason,
before.
No!
No, don't do it. He's done it. And he's got away with it. How on earth did he get away with that?
That's incredible.
We're going to have to open a produce department because the melons on these guys today is absolutely insane.
Absolutely crazy. Mason has always been quite an aggressive racer, and that aggressive mindset is paying off for him here. He knows exactly where to place the car, and fair play to him and everyone else. They're giving each other room in this fight. It's close but respectful at the front. Not much, but just enough.
I'm going to say they're making Rupesh Fanani almost seem like the soft touch of silk kind of deal. These guys are absolutely duking it out. I'm starting to wonder, like, is this a race or is this going to be an all-out brawl to the end? Certainly, I'm loving this. I'm like, can we do this for like 2 or 3 hours and just have heat races back to back? This is fantastic.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. But, well, we've got the final lap of this race coming up to test the mettle of these drivers. Ian Joyner falling out of the podium positions, but he's not under much pressure. He's in the championship lead of the Premier class by quite some margin, so I think he'll be happy to take 4th here, but he'll go for any position he can. Of course he will. That's why he's in the championship lead in the first place. White flag is out. Our top 4 are compressed. Ends just finding the room to the inside of Mason Kuhn. Harker and Joyner, they're almost going to go 4 wide. Almost. But Ian Joyner deciding, yeah, here we go. This is where it's going to get crazy here. It's Harker in front on the way into turn 2. And Cairo Owens will try contact further back. Oh no. Well, Vanderlee's going to take the old line through Tamburello there. Looked like a bit of contact between potentially himself, Kevin Adrian, and Adrian Hopp there. And Vanderlee's going to fall outside the top 10 potentially at the end of this. So, as it stands at the moment, Tyler Harker a few tenths ahead of Mason Kuhn. It's spaced things out a little bit in the top 5. I think they're going to try and assert themselves for a big run in the last half of this last lap. Adrian Hopp with a slowdown, meanwhile, as we check out what happened to Bass.
Yeah, it looks like Kevin Adrian moved over a little bit there. Didn't realize Bas van der Lee was there, and indeed he ended up taking the scenic route out of there. But right now, we're going to focus back on this lead battle. Indeed, Cairo Owens is lurking there in 3rd, but Tyler Harker and Mason Kuhn still duking it out. I'm yet to find a corner. These guys won't pass her. Every single opportunity is being taken here. Look at this. We're going to see an over-under potentially here. Harker, he almost had the move. Indeed, Cairo Owens sitting back there. Honestly, if I was him, I'd take the 3rd place. I would not try to put my nose in here, and if I did, it's going to be at the start finish.
Oh, Harker trying to make the move at Variante Alta. Room given by Mason Kuhn, but yet Harker's been slowed up at the apex there. Contact between himself and Enns. Ian Joyner has nowhere to go. Kevin Adrian picking up the slipstream. Mason Kuhn will try to run away with this now. Everyone behind him is fighting. They want to see who's going to finish in the runner-up position here. Oh, that's really late from Cairo Enns. Too much of a dive. Harker is going to take the lead in the process. Oh, shuffled out of the way was Mason Kuhn. Kevin Adrian again, bit of contact, and oh no, I think that's destroyed the suspension for Kevin. Contact with Joyner. Mason Kuhn side by side with Tyler Harker on the run up to the line, and he is ahead, but will he stay ahead? He will.
Oh my gosh. That was too much. I'm going to need blood pressure pills at this rate. That was insane. I feel pretty bad there for Kevin Adrian. Let's take a look back here and see exactly what happened. I've got to say, Cairo Enns, it was a bit of a dive from what I could see, but let's take a look back.
Yeah, that was quite the ambitious maneuver from Cairo Enns. That's how they looked on the way out of Rivazza. My goodness. We might have gone back a tiny bit too far. I think the session ticking over is going to end this replay early, though.
We'll try it. We'll try it. Certainly, it's honestly, the event log has so much action happening. It's basically pick a spot, throw it at the wall, and see what sticks. That's where we're going to be at. But here you go. Here's on board here from Kevin Adrian. You can see right now, he's very much in the pack. He's in 5th place, makes his way through the chicane, and then the lunacy begins to enhance, ladies and gentlemen. Harker goes to make a pass on the right. Joyner goes to pass on the right. Nowhere to go. And indeed, this is where Adrian starts getting to the mix as well, as they make their way down the hill. And we're going to see this move here. Definitely a little bit ambitious from a long way back. Ends there on the brakes, bleeds it off. A little bit of a contact with Mason Kuhn. Harker sneaks up the inside, and there you go. Here we go. This is Kevin Adrian on the inside. A little nudge from Cairo, a little nudge from Joyner, and bump, around he goes. Definitely, I would call that a racing incident with what was going on, but definitely unfortunate for sure.
Unfortunately, Joyner made contact with the left rear tire of Kevin Adrian, and I think that snapped the left rear suspension. That's the reason why we saw him running around there. Yeah, what did happen to Hooper? That's an interesting question. He spent a couple of minutes in the pit lane, and fortuitously for our replay, he's only just crossed the line now to finish in 23rd place. So that's going to be the results from race 1 then. Taking the win, Mason Kuhn, by just 0.5 of a second from Tyler Harker. Cairo Enns finishing another couple of tenths back. I don't think that his dive on Mason Kuhn was intentional. He might have got unsettled a little bit with the bump draft from Kevin Adrian. Brian Lenz and Ian Joyner rounding out the top 5, with Adrian Hopp finishing in 6th place there, with Barrett Brummett, Kevin Lau and Zoltan Zomator in 8th and 9th there. Rich Meesters rounding out the top 10, gaining quite a few spots.
Yeah, he snuck that one in there, didn't he? Bas van der Lee, definitely a little bit unfortunate, but I've got to say, good to see him here on the driver cams. He took 11th with Philip Masson in 12th. Who's actually 3rd place in club class. Indeed, the Premier class really putting a foot down today. Steve Saunders, the gentleman of the group, took 13th with Tulka Valcaseo in 14th. Tulka, find out what Thomas Neiman has got, and indeed give him a good kick to get him back for the final round. Philip Falcon took 15th with Jeffrey Westland, a real-life karter, ladies and gentlemen. He's there in 16th with Jeffrey Atkins in 17th. Kemal Kasim, not quite able to take that pace from practice and move it into the race. He was in 18th with Jeremy Childers in 19th, and indeed Timo Nolte making an appearance in 20th.
James Conrad finished where he started in 21st place. Carlton Howard gaining 1 spot. Hooper spending some time in pit lane. Kevin Adrian unfortunately couldn't make it to the line on the final lap and is classed a lap down in 24th, with Domenico Sayu retiring early on thanks to the damage we saw him collect. And Connor Bell didn't even make it to the first corner before having to pull over, but he is back for race number 2, starting all the way down in 26th place. Our top 8 have been inverted for the start of the second race. That means that Kevin Lau is starting on pole with Brummett alongside him. Then it's Hopp, Joyner, Lenz, Enns, Harker, and Mason Kuhn rounding out your top 8 there.
Yeah, I got a feeling this race is going to be just as exciting as the last one. Indeed, we've got Mama Kuhn in the chat. Great to have you here and on board. By all means, please hit that subscribe button. And definitely, you should be very proud of your son here who's driving. He's feisty today. What did you put in his cornflakes? Because obviously, it works.
Certainly does. Mason is mighty quick here today. And, well, after spending a couple of rounds out in the weeds, so to speak, he's come back very nicely with some great pace at Imola. So, 40 seconds remaining on the grid timer. What to think about coming into this second race? Well, I think our top 8 are going to be battling just as hard as they did in race 1. The challenge is going to be for Ian Joyner, for Cairo Enns, for Mason Kuhn, for drivers like that to find their way through to the front. Only 15 minutes. They don't have much time to do it.
Well, it sounds like Mama Kuhn isn't indeed Mama Kuhn. It is my mother. And she's absolutely wetting herself laughing as she showed me that. Oh, dear.
Dear, oh, dear.
Well, I guess if she puts something in Mason Kuhn's cornflakes, there's some explaining that I need, but certainly Mum's enjoying the racing, ladies and gentlemen. Pit Road Productions' very own Mum is enjoying the racing, so that's good.
Yeah, certainly she is. Well, we will find our way to the formation lap then. Only half a formation lap to do here as they lined up on the way into Acqua Minerale. They'll be taking this turn at quite a higher rate of speed when they start the race. Got to be incredibly careful over those curbs. They are quite harsh at that part of the circuit. But you know, you really get a sense for the old school nature of this place from these onboards. It's not the widest circuit in the world, Imola. It was actually built from public roads back in the early 1960s, I believe. A brand new road had been constructed along the river, linking a couple of villages, and some local motorcycle enthusiasts decided, hey, we can link these roads up to make a racetrack. And for the first few years of its existence, it was a public road circuit, but very rapidly transitioning to permanent venue, and it's been through quite a few changes over the years.
Yeah, certainly when I think of racing on public roads, obviously be safe, ladies and gentlemen, but actually out here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, we used to have what's called the Moosehead Grand Prix. And honestly, I would love to see that return. Like, I don't care which politician I've got to make happy to do that. I would love to see that return. Indeed, I would go out, get my race license, and I wouldn't care if I came last. I would do it just for that experience, even if it cost me $10,000. Even if it probably cost me $15,000. I don't know what the cutoff is. Certainly, I would be working very hard to do that. But right now, we're going to have to put that on hold. As ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to go here for the start of race 2.
All right, here we go then. Rounding our way to the start-finish line, Kevin Lau will lead us away. Accelerates very late on as the green flag flies and they officially start the race. A very good run from Barrett Brummett there.
Oh, no!
Oh, dear! That's Cairo Enns. What a save!
How
My goodness!
on earth did he do that? That has to be the best save, yeah.
That's jumping on the brakes and the throttle at the same time to get the car straightened out, but the dramas continued there. Contact with Bas van der Lee, and Cairo's going to fall down the order a little bit, but Philippe Masson, Michael Hooper, and Bas van der Lee, the worst to come out of that. It's been a frenetic race start, and I think Cairo's dealing with a bit of red mist there.
Yeah, that was definitely a whole world of wow, what just happened there. We'll take a look at the replay in just a few minutes. Kevin Lau, though, already being challenged here for the lead. Barrett Brummett looking to try and find his way to the front of the pack. Adrian Hopp in third.
Side by side for the lead. And Barrett Brummett will move through very nicely. Kevin Lau trying his best to maintain the pace round the outside, but Adrian Hopp will see the opportunity here. Might force Lau narrow into Acqua Minerale, not quite. He'll have to stay behind for a couple of corners. It's been a nice run for Ian Joyner. He's managed to keep fourth place for the moment, but once again, he finds himself on the outside looking in for the podium positions.
Yeah, we got Kurt Kuhn there in the chat saying, I'm pretty sure it's not Mason's mum. You're right, it's not. Actually, it's mine. Surely by chance she made like a random, like, let it pick a name for you. And that's what we ended up with. So she's just absolutely been wetting herself laughing when she came down and pointed that out. Certainly her old name is indeed gone. But right now, I've got to say, let's put that on the back burner. As Jake Kenzer's returned to the chat as well. Certainly Cairo's having a spicy start so far. And he's fallen back 5 places indeed. Look at this though. Talk about Caseo. He's currently up 4, but ladies and gentlemen, we're forgetting about our academy coach. He's already up 8 positions on the day.
Yep, Connor Bell actually making it around the first lap this time, and he certainly hasn't wasted that opportunity. Picks up the slipstream from the 184 of James Conrad. And side by side across the line will translate into a move into Tamburello. Meanwhile, back to our leaders. We'll see Mason now rounding up Ian Joyner. A fantastic run out of Tamburello there. And Tyler Harker is hot in his wheel tracks as Lenz and Zomator battle for 7th behind. Look at that side by side there. Mason is completely unafraid to go for those moves, and he somehow made his way past Joyner. He certainly knows how to take that Villeneuve chicane, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely no slouch by any means, but Kevin Lau, I've got to say, he's doing a fantastic job to hold on to this. That's contract there. Contract? Well, maybe. Contact there between Barrett Blomer and indeed Adrian Hopp, the American versus the German here. As Kevin Lau still able to hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just see how much he's sweating right now. Indeed, he has got his work very much under pressure.
He certainly has, and with that little side-by-side between Hopp and Brummett behind, he'll thankfully have some breathing room, but only by about 2.5 tenths of a second. He's got focus written all over his features as Kevin, and I think he'll, well, the occasional glance in the mirrors. Besides, he'll be eyes forward, trying his best to maximize every braking point, every turn in, every apex. Now Adrian Hopp has had a fantastic lap here and has found his way into second. Could be the lead. We saw a little bit of flustered behavior from Kevin Lau on the camera there. He had a wild ride over the curbs at Variante Alta.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, this is one of the things I love about the driver cameras, because you can see the raw emotion, the tension, and indeed sometimes even the breathing here as they're stuck in and holding their breath as they make their way around the corner. It is that tense. And certainly, you see some people, they put a heart monitor on. You look at that heart rate and I'm like thinking, dude, you're about to pop if you don't chill out.
Oh, wow. Look, that's the power of the slipstream right there. Kevin Lau is hung out to dry as Mason Kuhn goes to the inside for the opening corners here. Here comes Brummett and Joyner as well to join the party. And Tyler Harker will make a big move on Brummett there to get a bit closer to the pack, squeezing Joyner narrow ever so slightly, and that's Hopp across the curbs. Joyner has to back out of it. Harker and Brummett will take advantage, but even more advantage being taken from Brian Lenz, who will move back further up to them. Goodness me, Brian just passing 2 cars in one go there. Won't be able to get past Joyner, or maybe he will, or maybe he won't. Will he, won't he? I have no idea. This is ridiculous.
Well, he's definitely smiling. He's like, yes! And then like, uh-oh. You can see it's almost like, oh, that was good. I got some freebies. And you can always see him laughing, going, oh, well, never mind. Certainly, it's good to have Brian here on the camera. Debut, ladies and gentlemen, here for the Pit Road production camera. Indeed, this is the best turnout of driver cameras we've had here for the Almeida Academy. I'd like to count Rich Mises, but his isn't working. So we certainly got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers today on cameras.
Yeah, that's a very nice turnout on the driver cams. Our leaders have broken away from the pack thanks to that little exchange through Tamburello. Mason Kuhn versus Kevin Lau now for those top honours. And we'll see what they can do to maintain pace. The lap times are going to start coming down now that we're a couple of laps in. I think we're going to be seeing some good runs being made from this pack here. It stretches from 3rd all the way down to 15th. Kemil Kasim at the very rear of this fight.
Well, Jeffrey Westland currently holds the official fastest lap of this session, but Connor Bell right behind absolutely obliterates it with a 158.55, 6 tenths of a second quicker. And indeed, it looks like Bell is now lining up his next victim, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, Westland is about to find the Academy coach, making his way past as they go down the start finish straight. He's not.
Yeah, a little
He's
bit of
bump drafted.
Oh, yeah. Interesting choice there from Connor Bell. But now he pulls out and goes for the move at Tamburello. Hard on the brakes here. No anti-lock braking system in the Spec Racer Ford, so you have to really manage the inputs on that middle pedal. But Connor makes the move very nicely. Now up to 12th spot. He'll be knocking on the door of the top 10 in no time. Bas van der Lee, meanwhile, recovering somewhat from his adventure through the gravel at Tamburello on lap 1. And it's going to be a big recovery he has to make here. Philippe Masson ahead of him. Masson also with issues on the first lap. You see that Bas is being very aggressive with those curbs, and you kind of have to be at this circuit, but it will bite you very easily.
It's certainly, with the curbs, you've got to take a good amount of aggression, but certainly if you overdo it, you can bottom out the car, and indeed, that's not really the best way to go. As Connor Bell makes his way up to make it 15 positions in total, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, let's check in here as Mason Kuhn is indeed staying there with Kevin Lau, and indeed the gap has fallen. It was about 2.5 seconds before Joyner's managed to bring it down to 1.9. Interesting.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, but the lap times don't necessarily reflect that. On the previous lap, 159.4, 159.5 for our leaders. And Joyner and Harker about a second slower on that previous lap, but I think they might be making up some time here. Ends no stranger to getting up the inside at Ravazza, but that's a bit too late, and oh dear, that was a bit too ambitious there from Cairo, and unfortunately, what? Jesus, Mary and Joseph, that is quite the mess that we saw there at the final corners. And, Cairo ends, I think, will be feeling a little sheepish after that one. I didn't really see a universe where he could have made it to the apex there.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to cross into another dimension with that one. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm all for a cheeky move, but that one was maybe a little bit beyond optimistic. And indeed, the looking a little bit guilty on the camera on that one, Cairo.
Yeah, just a little. Well, he'll try to nurse that now damaged car to the very end here. Kevin Adrian up ahead of him in 10th spot at the moment. Got Kemal Kasim just ahead, and Jeffrey Westland with him as well. Westland with a poor run down the straight, but he manages to keep the position into Villeneuve. It's been a nice run up the field from Westland and Kasim, but they both run off the track here as Adrian and Enns will find their way through.
That was tight. That was so incredibly tight, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, Kevin Adrian.
Tosa.
Welcome back. Kevin Adrian able to hold on.
Yeah, for sure. Had a minor freeze there for a second, but I'm sure nothing more will come of that. Ian Joyner, Tyler Harker and Barrett Brummett now are the pursuing pack for our top two, and they all ran faster than our leaders on the previous lap, so it's not entirely over here for Mason Kuhn and Kevin Lau. They've got these guys chasing hard.
Yeah, certainly indeed. They have Barrett Brummett holding the fastest lap as well with 158.98. The fastest official lap, ladies and gentlemen. Certainly we'll put it like that. Yeah, Connor Bell got him by 0.04 of a second, but was an off-track involved in that lap. And indeed, Connor Bell currently up 19 spots. Well, let's not discount Kevin Adrian here either. He's up 16 spots as well. This guy isn't an academy coach, but with a performance like that, you got to wonder, is it on the future here for Kevin Adrian?
Yeah, he's carried some great pace this week. He's had front-running pace, but the finish of race one putting a bit of a damper on that. Regardless, it's given him the chance to move his way back up the order. You see the effect of the damage for Cairo Enns there ever so briefly. A lack of straight-line speed there, but Mason Kuhn and Kevin Lau continuing to hold on to our top two spots as Ian Joyner has now taken the fastest lap of the race here with 158.6 on the previous lap. That is quite rapid indeed.
Yeah, I'm just going to do a bit of math here. So currently they're about 1.8 seconds behind. He caught up about 4 tenths. I think he may be able to catch up because as soon as he gets into that slipstream, I mean, it's game over at that point. Realistically, he needs another 2 laps of catching these guys up. I think it may come down to an all-out fight at the very last lap.
Yeah, my timing is telling me once again it'll be 2 laps to go when these guys cross the line next. Lau just ran wide at Piratella there, and I think that's going to give half a chance to Joyner, Harker and Brummett. The gap for the lead now out to half a second. I'm sure that Lau is going to tighten his belt somewhat and try his best to stay in touch with Mason Kuhn here. But you know, you just think the Jaws music in the back of your head, right? You see those 3 chasing our top 2. They are closer every single time we look at them.
Yeah, I'm definitely familiar with that feeling of having Ian Joyner come up behind you, and certainly it's not a case of if he's going to get past, it's when, and certainly, you know what, he's potent, certainly in the spec race of Ford especially as well, and pretty handy in the Formula 1600, not to forget that as well, indeed. One thing I do have to wonder as well, for next season, Connor Bell, if you're listening, I'd like to see some rain.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a little bit of wet track racing. We'll have to wait and see on that. as it's 2 laps to go, 3 minutes on the timer, and the lap times are coming down further. Tyler Harker ran faster than Ian Joyner's quickest lap, but once again, an off track on that particular lap, so doesn't officially count. Regardless, still some fantastic pace being set by those chasing cars. Meanwhile, Kevin Adrian and Michael Hooper battling over P8. Cairo Enns has managed to stay in touch with them, and Jeremy Childers is not too far behind either. Got Jeffrey Westland and Kimel Kassim in 12th and 13th at the back of this pack as well. Any of the drivers on screen could finish anywhere in this pack.
Yeah, definitely. That is the beauty of it. Certainly, Cairo Enns has definitely got some damage there. Michael Hooper, he's had incredible pace. He's actually up 15 positions as well, so fair play to him. Definitely a good recovery. I'm not quite sure what happened to him on last race. That's a little bit of a wiggle there from Jeffrey Westland. Almost collides there with Kemal Kassim.
Yeah, room given to the inside by Kemal to allow Westland to get back up to speed. But the outside line will often be beneficial out of those hairpins. Our leaders are back together again. Kevin Lau with some really aggressive turn-ins here. Has managed to stay in touch with Mason Kuhn the whole way through this race and put on a great defensive drive for the lead early on, but Ian Joyner has brought the gap down to just over a second here. They're within slipstream range as Cairo Enns has gotten a black flag. I think he might have reached the incident limit.
Yeah, I'm going to be inclined to agree with you there. Certainly, I did see a little bit of an excursion indeed. I have to wonder just, you know, do you go bring it through and serve it, or do you just keep racing and get the penalty after the race? Certainly, I think that's probably what I would do at this point. Definitely did not go to plan here for the second race for him today.
No, it didn't. And yeah, with only 1 lap to go, yeah, it doesn't really make sense to come in and serve the black flag. You'll just get the time added on at the end of the race. Well, it looks like Westland and Kassim certainly having a nice fight here as the white flag is out, and it's on between Ian Joyner and Tyler Harker. Looks like Ian didn't get the best of exits out of Rivazza, and so he's going to have to work really hard over the course of this lap to catch up to Mason Kuhn and Kevin Lau. But does Tyler Harker really have the same line of thinking? I'm sure he wants that podium. Is he willing to make the pass on Joyner early on and potentially sacrifice a run at the win?
Hey, you see in them last couple of corners there, Joyner did definitely get a little bit closer. The gap down to about 0.5 of a second at this point. One thing Harker's got to keep in mind right now, he's got a huge advantage in the club class. He's P3 overall, P4 overall. First in the club class. Indeed, his next series competition is back in P12. He honestly just needs to survive in this, as Rich Meesters has picked up a slowdown flag and is currently there in P7.
Yeah, it looks like Rich will try his best to serve that a little bit slower on the run down to Piratella. Not under any pressure from drivers behind, so he should be okay. Ian Joyner then sees now the slipstream come into effect just about. He's close enough to have it on the way out of the final corners. Just needs to nail the run through Variante Alta. Very early turn in there. Oh, Harker going off at Variante Alta. And, well, he'll serve that slowdown and immediately fall back behind them. Lau with a poor run out of the chicane. Joyner trying to make a move on him here at the final couple of corners. Once again, Mason Kuhn has a lot of breathing room at the front of this field, and it looks like that's going to be the battle for the win done and dusted. But can Joyner pick up the slipstream from Kevin Lau out of the final corner? With Mason Kuhn then across the line in just a few moments, is going to take 2 from 2 so far today. A fantastic event here from the number 79. It looks like Lau will hold off Joyner and Brummett in the end, with Harker crossing the line in 5th.
Yeah, that's definitely not what he had in mind. Indeed, Barrett Blomett set the fastest lap on that last one as well with a 1:58.54. Let's have a little bit of a look further back though. Jeremy Childers and Kevin Adrian at the line. Further back as well, Bas van der Lee, Kemal Kassim, and look at that, side by side with James Conrad and Adrian Hall.
Yeah, there was barely anything between them. Looked like just a couple of hundredths of a second, if that. Steve Saunders chases Jeffrey Adkins to the line, and then we have, looks like Cairo Enns ultimately did decide to come into the pits and serve his black flag, and, well, that really tells the story, doesn't it? I think it's no secret how he feels about how that race went.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he started with an incident at the start of the race. And indeed, it was an incredible save, but from there, it just kind of pirouetted into a spiral. And I think it just goes to show as well, once you get into a driver's head, indeed, it could be really hard to get back into the zone where you were.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we've got a little bit of time left before we get the last car crossing the line. Zoltan Zomotor had to spend some time in the pits for damage just a few laps ago. He got involved in an incident that we unfortunately did not catch, but in just a few moments he will cross the line and we'll be able to bring you the official results from race number 2. This really sets things up for the 20-minute final race of the evening. Mason with 2 from 2 thus far. Can he go for all 3 race wins today? Joyner has had pole for race 1, but could only manage a 5th and a 3rd so far. We'll have to wait and see how he goes here as we find our way to our results then. But just before that, Zippy, it appears we're going to see nope. Oh, there we go. All right. Well, we'll leave that for the back burner as we'll see Mason Kuhn take the win from the second race. Kevin Lau fending everyone off very nicely to finish second, with Ian Joyner and Barrett Brummett your top 4. Tyler Harker winning the club class for that one. Connor Bell making his way all the way up to P6 in the end. Great run from the coach, with Rich Meesters, Michael Hooper, Jeremy Childers and Kevin Adrian rounding out the top 10.
Jeffrey Westland took P11 with Bas van der Lee in 12th. Kemal Kassim was in 13th, albeit second in the club class, with James Conrad able to get a podium there in the club class in P14 overall. Adrian Hopp, definitely an unfortunate incident near the end of his race. He ended up P15 with Philippe Masson in 16th. Callum Howard in 17th with Tulka Vakoseo, the Finnish driver, in 18th, with Jeffrey Atkins in 19th, and indeed Steve Saunders in 20th.
In 21st place, it was Cairo ends in the end with Timo Nolte and Zoltan Zomotor, the last finishers on the lead lap. Unfortunately, Brian Lenz retired a few laps from the end. Philip Falcon and Domenico Sayu joining him. That's 26 cars starting, not all of them finishing in race 2. We've got one more race yet to come here for the Almeida Racing League at Imola. We're going to take a quick breather and be back very shortly for the final race of the day.
Now he's here teaching all his secrets to all these drivers. This is Almeida Racing Academy,
where every champion has a starting line.
The sim racer turned real world superstar, Suelio Almeida.
It's Connor Bell racing in his own backyard for the very first time in the NASCAR Canada Series.
The workshops helped out so much. Something about battling with somebody faster than you, it just pushes you that little bit further, and I was able to just keep developing my skill.
I can kind of commit more with the exit there. That was good. If you do take sim racing seriously, it does impact your racing technique for the rest of your life.
I know how the car is going to perform around these corners because the model I have in the sim. Just the benefit of sim racing when you go into real life, I don't think people quite realize it yet.
You have infinite track time is the biggest factor. You are able to try so many things, and the physics that are simulated in the sim nowadays, especially iRacing, are so close to real life.
Creating champions.
Suelio Almeida is a master at his craft. He's outclassed a Le Mans driver, a European Le Mans Series racer.
These guys are among the top 0.02% in the world.
Designed to create champions.
First NASCAR Canada start. First NASCAR victory for Connor Bell.
Connor Bell standing on the podium here today.
This is the Almeida Racing Academy 3.0.
Way to race, buddy. Way to race.
Best coaching academy in the business, the Almeida Racing Academy. All of the drivers you've seen racing here today are students of the academy, and this is where they get to test their newly learned skills against each other. $25 a month gives you full access to the library of Suelio Almeida and friends to help you get faster in both the sim world and the real world. On Pit Road Productions and Suelio Almeida's channel, if you're just joining us, I'm Reese Gardner, Daniel Zippy Salmon alongside me in the commentary box, and also producing behind the scenes in warm-up at the moment, Zippy. And we've certainly seen some tight, close racing thus far. Few moments of drama, it has to be said, but we're going to be getting ready for 5 more minutes to be added onto the timer. A 20-minute final race coming up.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot at stake for this race. Certainly, I'm not entirely sure on the points, but a feeling Tyrants could potentially put this thing to bed today if he can get a nice, clean result. Indeed, he's going to want to do it on a high. Certainly, race 2 did not go to plan for him, but I got to say, there's a couple of drivers really making some good leaps there through the field. Connor Bell, obviously, he's an academy coach. The likes of Michael Hooper as well, Kevin Adrian. I do have to wonder how things are going to shake up in this final one. Certainly, the extra 5 minutes is indeed going to add a little bit more opportunity for a few of these drivers to maybe try and accelerate in the championship standings.
Yes, but the fact that it is the final race of the day means it's also the final opportunity to
yes.
gain some spots or make a recovery if you had a poor race too. So I think we're going to be seeing some heightened aggression from some drivers further back in the pack, particularly Cairo Enns, who exited race 2 in quite an extreme fashion. And I think we're going to be seeing some nice runs from Zomotor and Lenz at the rear of the field as well. They showed great pace in race 2, but unfortunately their results didn't reflect that.
Yeah, definitely a little bit unfortunate indeed. Having great pace is one thing, but having racecraft and indeed survival skills is another. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be getting this underway very, very shortly as warm-up has just come to an end.
Yeah, little breather for the drivers, little breather for us in the commentary box, and it is time to go through the grid for the final race of the day here at Imola. It's going to be Mason Kuhn starting from pole position. He's won both races so far today, and he'll be going for a third with Kevin Lau and Ian Joyner in your top 3. Brummett starts alongside our championship leader. Tyler Harker and Connor Bell in 5th and 6th, with Rich Meesters and Michael Hooper in 7th and 8th. And then we have Jeremy Childers and Kevin Adrian rounding out the top 10.
Over there in P11, it's going to be Jeffrey Westland with Bas van der Lee in 12th. Having a look back at 13th, it's going to be Kemal Kassim with James Conrad in 14th. Adrian Hobb takes 15th. Philip Masson in 16th. Carlton Howard's going to be there in 17th alongside the Finnish driver of Tulka Valkaseu in 18th. Jeffrey Atkins in 19th, and indeed Steve Saunders rounding out the top 20. Having a look further down, ladies and gentlemen, Cairo Enns, he's going to be keen to try and make a little bit of a move through the field. He's in 21st, with Timo Holte in 22nd. Zoltan Zomotor definitely out of touch there. He's there in 23rd, with Brian Lenz in 24th. Rounding out the final round of the grid, almost, ladies and gentlemen, Philip Falcon in 25th, with Dominic Sayu in 26th.
All right, hopefully my microphone has fixed itself. If it hasn't, I'm sure Zippy's going to let me know very quickly. But
sounds better.
We'll be finding... Yep, good. We'll be finding our way through to the final green flag of the day. And it's taken Mason Kuhn quite a bit of effort to get the 2 wins that he's had thus far today. He started from 5th in race 1, started from 8th in race 2, but he's certainly been unafraid to make moves. This time, he will have the luxury of a clear track ahead of him into the first corner.
Honestly, on a track like this, I don't know if that's the luxury. Certainly myself, I think I'd want to start P3, not P1 in there. Certainly, the slipstream is just so incredibly potent. I mean, Kevin Lau as well. He's been on it today. Like, he's got good form usually anyway, but like he's been able to make it stick, and fair play to him. This is a good opportunity for him in the championship.
Yep, very good opportunity indeed. Mason second to Ian Joyner for the majority of the season in the standings for the Premier class. All right, now we're back onto the start-finish stretch. Kevin Lau with a second front row start of the day will surely be looking to capitalize, as Mason's going to get on the power nice and early here, waiting for the call of the green flag already. Barrett Brummett and Ian Joyner side by side for third, but across the line they will come, and immediately the run starts for Kevin Lau. He's going to be half a car length in front of Mason Kuhn by the time they get to the braking zone, but Mason is no stranger to diving up the inside, gets over the curb very nicely, actually rode right over the speed bump and barely any bad behavior from his car. And Connor Bell has reflected his finishing position from race 2, started in 6th, has already made up 2 spots for 4th.
Yeah, certainly I have a feeling he's going to be trying to get into this lead fight and indeed maybe take a win here today. But certainly we've got to see all of these drivers getting into it here, as it looks like Rich Meesters now going side by side with Jeremy Childers.
Yep, Childers having to yield into Tosa, but making a nice run on the way out. And Rich is going to be looking in his mirrors potentially to find the car off to his left there. Ian Joyner makes the move for second on Kevin Lau in the process, and we got a really good view of the inside of the Spec Racer Ford. Lau and Joyner have come together there. Rich Meesters gets sent off at Piratella as well. That's some big drama at the front of the field.
Yeah, Ian Joyner absolutely relegated back 19 positions, and indeed, this is good news here for Mason Kuhn. He's currently about a second ahead. Connor Bell is going to be in pursuit of him, though, but absolute pandemonium here on lap 1.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it looked like Joyner, once he got on the brakes for Piratella, moved back to the right when Kevin Lau was still there. That's what induced the contact there, and there's more drama happening further behind. There's the move right there, and yeah, I would say 100% that was not Kevin Lau's fault. He couldn't really move any further to the right on the way into the corner, but we've got Adrian Hopp with a mechanical black flag towing back to pit lane, and Stephen Saunders has towed to the pits as well. There's been more drama.
Well, let's have a look here to see what happened to Stephen Saunders as they make their way down towards the chicane. And indeed, you can see there 2 wide, 3 wide, and a little bit of a braking error there. And indeed, that's what caught Adrian Hopp as well. Looked like Kyroen's got in the mix. That's for maybe Valdez Fansavicius as well. Oh dear.
Yeah, and the yellow car, one of our yellow cars, trying to find their way around it. I'm not sure if that was Joyner or Kemal Kasim or Zoltan Zumator, but, well, we're going to find our way back to the front of the field. Mason Kuhn still leading, but Connor Bell's found his way into second, and I'm sure that he's going to have a lot of fun battling with Mason here. You know, if they slow each other up a bit, that's going to give a big chance to Brummett, Harker, and Hooper behind as well. Bas van der Lee has been making a steady recovery from his unfortunate tour off track at the start of race 2, now battling with Kemal Kasim for the top 10.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to find his way forward, and indeed right now he is in P11. He's only up 1 spot, but certainly he's had top 10 paces, even top 5 pace potentially as well, but just keeps getting caught in some incidents here. So certainly you see there a little bit of a detour from Kemal Kasim. Are we going to see an over-under here as they make their way around the double right-hander?
Yeah, looks like, well, I mean, it's tempting, certainly, to go for the move at Aqua Minerale, but it's traditionally not a passing zone. You've got to be very careful when going side-by-side through there. It's a lot narrower than it seems. Van der Lee waits until the run into Variante Alta to make the move on Kemal, and into the top 10 for him. Mason Kuhn still holding on to the lead here. Connor Bell hasn't gotten all up in his business for the moment, but I'm sure we're not too far away from seeing that.
Yeah, definitely. And not only that, Connor Bell, I think, is going to just try and put himself behind Mason Kuhn, indeed, maybe try and push him up and away from the rest of these drivers. But indeed, Barrett Blumett definitely too close, as is Tyler Harker, Michael Hooper as well. Kevin Asian about... he's a little bit of a way back, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, as the pressure is being applied here at Imola.
Hooper with the fastest lap so far as they draw out side by side into turn 2. And the position will be settled between these two. It's not settled between Barrett Brummett and Tyler Harker. They continue their side-by-side run, and Michael Hooper gains the position of Harker on the way out of Tamburello. It's bump draft central for the lead meanwhile. Connor Bell is quite content to push Mason Kuhn along down the straights.
Yep, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that's exactly what Connor Bell is trying to do. He wants to get these two cars away from the onslaught of Spec Racer Fords behind him. The rest of the Academy students that are looking to try and find their way by. But also, another thing to keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we broadcast one split. There's 4 of them.
Yep, 4 splits running simultaneously, all with, 15 or more drivers competing in them. It's fantastic to see, the sheer amount of attendance that we have for these events. We can only broadcast one, though, but you often see at the start of shows where the overall championship sits with all the splits combined. Meanwhile, just under 15 minutes remain, and once again, Bell lifts off to allow Brummett the full line through Variante Alta. They're not getting away from Brummett, Hooper, and Harker, though.
Yeah, I think they're going to need a little bit more of assistance there if they want to try and find their way and break that draft. Certainly the Spec Racer Ford, if the straight is long enough, you're actually better leapfrogging each other. The bump draft is only good for a smaller straight. Certainly, I speak from experience there. And indeed, the front clamshell of this car, a little bit on the delicate side indeed. But right now, Barrett Blumett You can see these guys trying to get away, and he's there. He's in the slipstream. He's applying pressure. Tyler Harker lurking there as well. James Conrad having a really good day. He's currently in P2 in club class and P9 overall.
Yeah, not a bad run from James Conrad. He's made up 5 spots in this race so far. We'll see how much further up he can get. Meanwhile, it looks like for the first time in a bit, our lead is almost side by side on the way into a corner, but Bell clearly backing out to keep the battle going. It does give a couple of tenths to Brummett, Harker, and Hooper. Got to keep an eye out for that pack behind as well. Jeffrey Westland, Kevin Adrian, and Jeremy Childers. They are not too far from getting the slipstream of this pack themselves. They are running lap times. I mean, comparing the lap times, it's more or less equal. They just got to make sure they don't battle too hard, because otherwise they will lose time.
Yep. A little bit of tension there from Kevin Adrian, running a little bit wide.
Ever so slightly. Once again, the dark green AstroTurf beyond some of these curbs is very slippery indeed. You do not want to run over it if you can. But the light green painted concrete at the exit of the Villeneuve chicane in particular is definitely worth using if you can. Meanwhile, 186 of Philippe Masson, the Frenchman, making his way into 11th spot. He's another driver who's gained big in this one. Kemal Kassim has only gained 1 spot for the moment, but he'll certainly have a run at Philippe if he can. Vanderlei and Conrad just traded spots into Variante Alta as well. And now James sits outside, or just inside, the top 10. There's really only been 2 big losers in this race for position. 3 if you count Rich Meesters, but of the drivers on the lead lap, Ian Joyner and Kevin Lau falling down majorly after their unfortunate coming together on the first lap. Ian Joyner, meanwhile, 13th place, trying to find his way past Kassim. He's caught up now.
Yeah, certainly is indeed. Let's take a look here back at the lead packers. Once again, you can see Connor Bell trying to give Mason Kuhn a little bit of a punt there down the straightaway. And indeed, he's got to hope that these guys behind him fight, as that's Michael Hooper almost making it 3 wide as they make their way around turn 1. And again, side by side here with Barrett Blummet. Hooper goes a little bit wide, but able to keep a nose in, and Brummett is going to have to settle for the outside line.
That he is. Have to settle down for the next half a lap or so and wait for the next opportunity. That costs them a tiny bit more time to Westland, Adrian, and Childers, who are continuing to drive in lockstep for the moment. Battle for the lead is on now, and it is a 3-way with Tyler Harker now right on the back of Connor Bell.
I'm sorry, take a quick look here. Michael Hooper, Team Bear Pope, and the little graphic that pops up next to his car. It just got the bear of me. I think that's pretty funny.
Got the bear of you?
Sure, why not?
Oh, dearie me. That's your British way of talking coming out there. We'll see the number 79 of Mason Kuhn continue his really almost robotic sticking to the left on the way out of Acqua Minerale. He's driving with metronomic consistency and currently has the fastest lap of the race, surely helped by Connor Bell's bump drafting. It's some solid pace that these drivers are setting.
It absolutely is indeed. You can see there all of these guys trying to vie for the leaders. That's a little bit of an off-track excursion a little bit further back. Brian Lenz picking that one up on this occasion.
Yeah, Brian is quite a big gainer in this race, and he's just made it up 12 spots as he's made his way past Philippe Masson, the biggest gainer in the field. Remember, he was fighting well inside the top 10 in race 2 before falling by the wayside for unknown reasons to us, but he's doing quite well at the moment. Oh, hang on a minute. That's not entirely ideal. I think he just served a slowdown.
He did. That's why I went to him. Changed for the lead, though.
Fair enough. Oh. Connor Bell has made his way past Mason Kuhn, and so has Tyler Harker.
Definitely some interesting things going on here. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have to wonder just how long that is going to work out, as right now you see Connor Bell taking himself to the front of the pack. Meanwhile, though, Tyler Harker with the fastest lap. They made it down to a 158.23. Absolutely insane pace. But I've got to say, Mason Kuhn, I think out of all the drivers today, he definitely wants it the most. Nearest competition, though, for Tyler Harker, it's James Conrad back in P10.
Yeah, indeed.
Whoa, hang on. Oh my gosh.
What's happened?
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't believe it. Are you ready for this?
I guess so.
We have been blessed.
He has a face.
Ladies and gentlemen,
He exists
the stick.
in the physical realm. Finally seeing Ian Joyner on cams for the first time. Shame to see that it's in the race where he's fallen down the order so far, but we'll be getting a good opportunity to see what he can do here. As he's found his way into 11th, and he's not too far behind James Conrad. A little bit of slipstream here and there. 4 laps remaining when they cross the line next. We'll see how close Joyner can get. He's clearly running times that are well competitive with the drivers in the top 10, so there's still a good chance for him.
Yeah, I'm actually in shock at that point now. I can't believe how many seasons have we been doing this race, and we've finally seen Ian Joyner. I'm lost for words here as Tyler Harker now decides to take up the position as the shunt, I guess. We're going to dub it the shunt, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, trying to give Connor Bell a little bit of help down the straight, but Mason Kuhn is not having any of it. He's side by side there, and you see there Harker not quite got the softest touch. Has picked up a little bit of damage there on that front fuselage of his Spec Racer 4, but indeed Mason Kuhn there looking to apply a bit of pressure, as was Michael Hooper. Indeed, Barrett Blunt, Kevin Agent, however, leading a pack of 3 cars himself. Jeffrey Westland and Jeremy Childers about 3 seconds behind.
And it looks like they've stalled a little bit in their run towards the top 5, but they're having a fun battle by themselves for the moment. Meanwhile, this is the fight for 12th. We've got Masson up ahead, Brian Lenz still 11 spots up. Looks like Masson's actually gotten back past him there. And, well, hello, Cairo Ends. Round the outside of Tuca Valkiasuo at Tosa. Uses all of the AstroTurf and then some, and finds his way back past. Yeah, Cairo's on a mission here.
Yeah, it definitely is not the way he wanted to go. I do have to wonder if he could have put it in the backstay. Certainly, the potential was there. He may indeed have to fight it out for the final round. Because don't get me wrong, the Premier class also has the Club class integrated into that as well, so it could have potentially been a podium. As Tyler Harker there looked like he didn't quite get that as he preferred, and indeed Mason Kuhn there applying a bit more pressure, and Connor Bell, he's not going to be able to break this draft. He's good, but unless these guys start scrapping, he is not going to be able to break this draft.
No, certainly not. 3 laps now remain in the race as we find our way out of Rivazza once more. It looks like everyone's just in lockstep in that front pack. This is really where the battling's at. Cairo Ends giving Brian Lenz a big old push as they make their way past Philippe Masson, and Tuca Valkiasuo gets into the rear of the Frenchman, and well, they managed to survive it and keep the momentum up. Very nice. Kemal Kassim and Philip Falcon will certainly see a big chance for further position gains here as the draft train becomes a snake weaving down the start-finish straight.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to get dicey going down into turn 1, and indeed, I've got to say, Tuca Valkiasuo able to pop a wheelie there as Ends looking to try and go on the outside, and it looks like, are we going to see 3 wide? These guys keep thinking about it, and I'll have to admit there, I'm surprised and impressed they haven't gone for it, but Cairo Ends able to emerge out of that, and despite the way this race has gone for him, he's up 9 positions, Brian Lenz up 11, but Cairo Ends currently in 3rd place for the club class. This could be good opportunity for him as Jeffrey Westland picked up a slowdown very briefly there. Meanwhile, at the lead pack, Mason Kuhn has returned to the lead.
Yeah, the dicing continues. Barrett Brummett is on the outside looking in here. Michael Hooper was close at the start of the lap, but Brummett and Hooper went side by side through Tamburello at the start of this lap, and Hooper didn't get the best run out of that first chicane. So now he's trying desperately to narrow the gap and get the slipstream back. Under 5 minutes remain now. We are in that extra time that's been given from the first and second races. And the run out of Variante Alta, incredibly important. It's actually one of the most difficult parts of the circuit to get right. I'm quite impressed that they're able to carry the pace through that chicane that they are. But it's all about trying to stay behind coming into Rivazza, because you really want to get the slipstream coming onto the straight.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly that chicane, It is a balancing act. Certainly, you want to take as much curb as you can without unsettling the car and then be able to put the power down on the exit. But you see Tyler Harker here trying to decide which way is the way to go. Indeed, there is an old saying, don't push the pusher. And I think that's exactly what Harker's thinking now. You can see there, Connor Bell giving Mason Kuhn a little bit of a hurry along and really not getting anywhere by doing it. Certainly, Tyler Harker's just pretty much able to coast there and stay with the pack.
And it looks like Brummett and Hooper have narrowed the gap again themselves. Meanwhile, the battle continues between Westland, Adrian, and Childers. Jeremy's been sitting at the back of this fight for pretty much the entire race at this point. I think he's just biding his time and waiting for an opportunity. You see the specks in the distance. That's our top 5 ahead of these guys. The gap has extended out to about 4 seconds or so. These guys have to make up if they want to run at that podium, but I think they're more than well enough involved with each other right now. Bit of oversteer there for Jeffrey Westland.
Yeah, definitely having a tough race indeed. Jeffrey Westland actually racing with one of the real-world drivers, you know, ladies and gentlemen, Asad Nakadim-Bayev. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make a point. Asad Nakadim-Bayev, who I got to say went the longest amount of time without telling us how to correctly say his name. Over 2 years, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. It was a bit of a rough revelation there on Wednesday night. The conclusion of the BIS F1600 Championship. Coming up to crunch time for the final race of the day, though, here in the Almeida Racing League. Season 6 has just had some of the best racing yet of this league. We've been here from the very start, and it's been a pleasure to bring you through, the initial couple of seasons with the BMW M2, then the switch to the Spec Racer Ford, which has turned out to be an incredibly inspired choice. Some fantastic drives have been made in this car. White flag is out, and Connor Bell continues to push Mason Kuhn along, but Tyler Harker now sees the opportunity. He's going to get alongside our leaders. Could this be where he gets it done around the outside of Tamburello? I'm sure Mason's going to make it as difficult for him as he can. Harker does get into second, but has he just cost himself with that? Bit of a rough run across the curbs. Bell's going to try and get him right back.
Yeah, very much so. I have to feel Barrett Blummer and indeed Michael Hooper are going to be sitting here seeing if any of the spoilers from the podium are indeed available there. As Barrett Blummer, without a doubt, he's been potent since he showed up. But right now, Mason Kuhn is leading the charge. You do have to wonder, can he make it free from free? Certainly, we don't see that too often. And if so, Ian Joyner being the name that springs to mind. But certainly myself, we've loved it here on Pit Road Productions. Indeed, Miata's BMW M2 LMP3, that one was a little bit colourful. Without a doubt, the most hectic race start we have ever seen was in the LMP3s into Interlagos. Certainly, if you can remember that one, Reese, I think we had 5 wide, maybe even 6 wide at one point. It was spicy, and indeed, I don't think they're in a hurry to return to that kind of layout. But indeed, I do hear what car is coming next, and I can tell you from this commentator's point of view, it's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, certainly will be. We won't reveal that information just yet. That'll be some news for coming out of the final round next week. But let's focus on these last couple of corners then. Our top 5 in lockstep for the entire race. Is there going to be any surprises thrown into Ravazza here on the final lap? Mason Kuhn has stayed in the lead for pretty much the whole race, and there's no pressure from anyone behind. But mess up the exit of Ravazza too, and they'll be right there to take advantage. It's almost a perfect exit for Mason Kuhn. Is there enough space for Tyler Harker to have a run at him on the way to the start-finish line? Not quite. The line is crossed, and Mason Kuhn takes 3 wins from 3 races today. Incredible stuff indeed. Fantastic job from Mason Kuhn today. Tyler Harker and Connor Bell are your podium.
They're still going, Reese. They're still going. It was a second at the finish. It's not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. Consider this a bonus round. Mason Kuhn is going to have to keep fighting. Tyler Harker has gone and put himself at the front of this pack. The club class driver. It was literally 1 second at the line. Consider it overtime, ladies and gentlemen. The gloves are not ready to be thrown yet.
Oh, goodness me. Well, certainly not the first time I've miscalled a finish, and it won't be the last. Mason Kuhn, oh, that's very wide, coming out of Tosa. That might be the run that Tyler Harker needs here. Kuhn's going to go defensive into Piratella. We've seen this kind of maneuver go wrong at the start of the race. Tuca Valchiasuo getting a black flag as these guys go side by side through Piratella. And now the run into Aqua Minerale. It looks like, Tyler's forced Mason narrow. This could be the move. Oh, he thought about it, but not quite.
Yeah, Connor Bell there. I'm going to think he should. Where do you go with this situation? Brian Weeds put that one into a lesson indeed. As this is going to get even dicier. Look at that Harker now, applying even more pressure as they make their way through the final chicane, ladies and gentlemen. Indeed, this is getting dicey. Connor Bell dropping back a little bit here. Mason Kuhn just ahead. That's Harker on the inside. Side by side they go down towards the right-hander. And indeed, the final couple of corners of round 10.
All right, contact, a little bit of contact on the way into the corner. Harker forces the issue, sends Kuhn wide. Mason will try and never run at him again here out of the final corner. Harker gets into the gravel. Oh dear, it looks like Mason's been forced to back out. Here comes Connor Bell indeed. He's going to push Harker. They're going to be 3 wide, almost coming across the line. And there's the line right there. Tyler Harker takes victory by 8. Zippy, get this, 8 thousandths of a second was the margin for victory. Oh my lord.
We're going to have to add more decimal places to the timing because of how close these guys are. Let's take a little bit of a look further back here. Fulco Balcaseo brings it across the line, and P4 for Club Cars, and James Conrad P5 for Club Cars, Philip Falcon himself, all having a good finish. But let's see if we can get a replay here. That was incredible at the end.
Oh, that certainly was. I kind of feel bad for giving Mason Kuhn his dues. As it turned out, that was actually the beginning of the final lap, not the conclusion. Harker just stealing it from him on the way through those final corners. It was all set up from the run out of Variante Alta there. But check what they do here in the braking zone. I think this is all hard but fair racing. There was some contact and Mason was trying to move over to narrow Harker's line in, but Tyler was having none of it.
Yeah, very much so. And this is where I like to see the point of view here. We're going about these two guys get a little bit loose, and Connor Bell just goes, thank you very much, picks up a little bit the slipstream here. Harker gets a shunt, and then as soon as he's clear, Connor Bell there tries to get a move here on the inside as they bring it down to the line, incredibly close. I have a feeling you could have moved that start-finish line by about a foot and got a completely different answer.
Yeah, and you know, I think that tap from behind from Connor Bell was exactly what Harker needed. If Bell hadn't given him that bump, then Kuhn would probably have finished ahead.
Yeah, definitely could have gone anyway, ladies and gentlemen. But meanwhile, we do have your results. I do have to wonder, can I go and extend it? I literally need... Well, we did it, 8 thousandths of a second. That's just close. That's beyond close.
Beyond. Harker by 8 thousandths from Mason Kuhn at the end, and taking his second victory, I believe, of the season. Last time we saw him on the top step was Chicago. Connor Bell rounding out the podium with Brummett and Hooper rounding out your top 5. Kevin Adrian wins the battle for 6th with Jeremy Childers finishing just behind him. Bas van der Lee recovering to P8. Impressive run. Cairo Enns and Brian Lenz up 12 and 14 places respectively to round out the top 10. Very impressive from them.
Yeah, certainly Jake Henn's given Brian Lenz a good bit of recognition there for the 14 spots. Attaboy. Having a look here at P11, Kemal Kasim, he took that spot with James Conrad in 12th. Philip Falcon took 13th, but Ian Joyner very much out of touch. They had that incident earlier on. He's there in 14th with Kevin Lau in 15th. Both of these guys coming together on lap 1. Zoltan Zomator took 16th with Philip Masson in 17th. Jeffrey Atkins in 18th with Carlton Howard in 19th. And Natulka Balcaseo in 20th.
Finishing in 21st position in the end was Domenico Sayu. Last car to finish on the lead lap. A lap down for Jeffrey Westland and Rich Meesters with Adrian Hopp, Steve Saunders and Timo Nolte barely completing any of the race distance at all. Last time we saw Joyner, He was running in P10. Actually looks like he was having a go at both Westland and Bas van der Lee. And unfortunately, there was a coming together through the final couple of corners that resulted in a spin for Joyner. So that's the reason why our championship leader's down in 14th for this final race of the day. Well, it looks like we are in the interview stages now, and we'll wait for Tense Redmen in Discord to change to their real name. He does have an ARA tag, so we know that he's part of the field today. While we give him time to sort that out, we'll have a chat to Ian Joyner. We'll bring Ian into it. And, well, Ian, you weren't able to see the top step of the podium here today, but certainly some close racing once again here.
Yeah, it's been a tough one. I'm trying to think of the positive things to say, but I'm struggling a little bit today. It was a tough race, especially tough finish to the feature, tough start to the feature. I hung in there at least in the first two, but again they just didn't work out. Just got caught up, to be honest, in multiple things. It's a great track to race on, but yeah, it was again just tough. Just people side by side all over the place, lots of mistakes. Difficult to navigate, but sort of a fun one. But maybe if I made it around the last corner.
Well, at the very least, you came into this race in the lead of the championship, and you will keep it on the way into the final round next week at Lebanon. Do you have any thoughts regarding that track? It's certainly a circuit that the ARA has visited before, but a very long time ago at this point, all the way back in Season 1. It's going to be difficult in these spec racer Fords.
Yeah, I think I've raced it not with ARA, not in these cars. I think it will be probably a little bit more conventional than this. We won't have the sort of same massive pack up on the straight, but the draft is always such a big thing in these anyway, so there'll still be a lot of draft involved. I do quite enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to it. Hope to get some slightly cleaner races than today.
We wish you all the best for that, Ian. Thanks very much for jumping in for a chat. We'll be catching you next week for sure.
Cheers, bye. Yeah.
All right, Ian Joyner there, the championship leader here in Split 1. And now we're going to bring in Tyler Harker for a chat on the top step of the podium, Zippy.
Well, certainly, Tyler, definitely it's been a spicy race for you today. And certainly, we got a little bit of heat heading your way here. Kurt Kuhn, not a fan of that move at the end. Personally, myself, it looked like a racing incident. Tell us a little bit about what went on in the final stages of this race.
I guess I'm not too sure what he's talking about. I'll have to look it back up, but I hope I didn't do anything wrong to ruin Mason's race.
Well, certainly, it's a lot of close racing here in the ARA, and indeed the Almeida Racing League has been incredibly potent. Certainly yourself, I was told even before you got here, you'd be somebody to keep an eye out for, and you've definitely delivered on that. A P1 in club class today and a P1 overall. Fantastic result. Byron Wen's fully your nearest competition. He had to settle for P2 in club, albeit in P9 overall. Certainly heading into this final round, do you think you've got potentially, have you got the pace here to try and secure the club class win?
I sure hope so. Lebanon's pretty fun to drive, very difficult, a lot of elevation change, and so we'll see. Maybe some people will spin behind or in front of, and I'll get a good result.
Well, certainly, Tyler, you have indeed been a force to reckon with, but is there anybody you'd like to shout out for today's performance?
Mr. Joey Rediger. He's a good cat, one of my best friends, you know. He's always been there for me to push me through all these races.
Well, certainly fair play. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for indeed a very potent driver indeed. It's Tyler Harker, winner of the feature race and indeed leader of the club class for the final round as well. Double whammy here. Tyler Harker, ladies and gentlemen, representing the USA, and indeed we'll hopefully see him again back at Lebanon.
Yeah, indeed we will. Fantastic to have Tyler join us here, and great performance indeed in the final race. You know, obviously not without its fair share of controversy, but I think that's going to be the way it goes. You're asking a question in our chat, Zippy, and I think we should. Let's have a look at that final corner again, because there were multiple elements to it. I think that, just my personal opinion, I think Tyler Harker was squeezed a little bit into the braking zone. And, I'm not usually a fan of like return serves or anything like that. I prefer my racing to be clean and fair, but, just keeping an eye on this from the air, we'll see Mace, Tyler getting a great run up the inside here, and Mason was well within his rights to try and squeeze him. There was a bit of contact there. I think just from Tyler's perspective there really wasn't much else he could do. I mean, he couldn't put his car any further left. There was that contact out of the final corner, though. I think that might be the point of contention. Tiny bit of contact spiraling into a slide for Harker. At that point, he wasn't fully in control of the car.
Yeah, in my opinion, it'd be a racing incident, completely a racing incident, certainly. I mean, I'm open to, interpretation as well, like, as much as the next guy, but certainly on that one, I wouldn't be flagging anybody for that. I think that seems pretty clean, and I'm usually the guy who's waving the ban stick, so certainly, we reviewed it, we've given our thoughts, and you do however you see fit, but ladies and gentlemen, we are indeed going to bring this show to a close in the next few minutes. Certainly would have been good to catch up with Connor Bell today. That would have been particularly pleasant. Indeed, he is a little bit camera shy on this occasion, but I gotta say, we'll give the shout out to the Almeida Racing League. That is the best attendance we've seen for driver cam so far. Some new faces making an appearance. Ian Joyner has a face, ladies and gentlemen. That's certainly one that we weren't expecting. Indeed, Jojo Joyner making an appearance as well in the YouTube chat. We got to see the likes of Bas van der Lee, Kyle Owens, Brian Lenz, Kevin Adrian as well. Multiple drivers making an appearance as well. Rich Meesters as well. And indeed, Stephen Saunders. We didn't see too much of Steve. He definitely had a little bit of a rough day today. But certainly, ladies and gentlemen, we couldn't do it without you. And indeed, we wouldn't want to do it without you. So certainly, thank you very much for joining us here on Pit Road Productions, or indeed on Swallow Almeida's channel as well. My name is Daniel Zippy Salmon, and joining me in the production booth today, the one and only Mr. Reese Gardner, ladies and gentlemen, or indeed the Southpaw Racer for sure. Check out his track history content. But thank you very much for watching, and we're going to see you next week for the final round here of Season 6 of the Almeida Racing League.
Now he's here teaching all his secrets to all these drivers. This is Almeida Racing Academy,
where every champion has a starting line.
The sim racer turned real world superstar, Swallow Almeida.
It's Connor Bell racing in his own backyard for the very first time in the NASCAR Canada Series.
The workshops helped out so much. Something about battling with somebody faster than you, it just pushes you that little bit further, and I was able to just keep developing my skill.
I can kind of commit more with the exit there. That was good. If you do take sim racing seriously, it does impact your racing technique for the rest of your life.
I know how the car is going to perform around these corners because of the model I have in the sim. Just the benefit of sim racing when you go into real life, I don't think people quite realize it yet.
You have infinite track time is the biggest factor. You are able to try so many things, and the physics that are simulated in the sim nowadays, especially iRacing, are so close to real life.
Creating champions.
Swallow Almeida is a master at his craft. He's outclassed a Le Mans driver, a European Le Mans Series racer.
These guys are among the top 0.02% in the world.
Designed to create champions.
First NASCAR Canada start. First NASCAR victory for Connor Bell.
Connor Bell standing on the podium here today.
This is the Almeida Racing Academy 3.0.
Wait a race, buddy. Wait a race.